So far.
All right, the March 16th Middlebury Town Council meeting will be called to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Kent Kaufman,
Here.
Mike Holloway,
Here.
Gary Kripe,
Here.
Carl Miller,
Here.
and Kevin Miller.
Here.
All right, we have the minutes for the March 2nd meeting and the executive session certification for March 9th.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes for the March 2nd, 2026 as presented, as well as the executive session certification for March 9th, 2026.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, at this time, we will open the floor for public comments. Good.
I just have one. I'd like to add pay app number 3 for the Powell Lift Station to the agenda, just due to the size of it, and we won't be meeting for 3 weeks. So
Okay, mine has that inserted in here between B and C. Is that
that's
where you
fine.
want?
That's
Okay.
fine.
All right, anything else? All righty, expense vouchers. We have the expense vouchers on here.
I'll make a motion that we approve for disbursement the expense vouchers as presented.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor? Aye. All right, we have no unfinished business. That's weird. New business, change order number 6 for water system improvements.
Who's up?
JPR.
Sorry.
Nope, you're good.
You have to go up to the mic.
Good evening. I am Kenneth Jones Jr. with JPR. I'm here with the rest of our team sitting behind me, Paul Warnke, Josh Wyman. I think we have Dan Byam on remote. Yep. And this is regarding change order 6 on contract B of the water system improvement projects, plural. And we're all here because it's a pretty good sized one. It's a pretty important issue. So we wanted to make sure any questions that came up, we could hopefully be able to answer them. I know an awful lot about it, but none of us know everything. That's why there's more than just me here. So in reviewing this is related to the chemical feed injection system associated with the new tank, the new detention tank that is being or has been constructed as part of the project. I thought it would be a good time to kind of just very briefly review kind of the overall situation with the project and the finances or the cost and all that fun stuff. So I'm going to touch on that briefly. But the total estimated value of all three, contracts that collectively make up the current phase of the project back during the PER effort in 2023 was $8,548,000. If you adjusted that to today with just using like the consumer price index, that translates to $9,079,000. And then after we're done during the actual design of the project, before it goes to bid, we always do another estimated, do another estimate of the value. And at that point, we estimated it at $9,194,088, which was a $115,000 increase over the pre-design estimate before all those additional details would have been known as part of the design effort. And then when it went to bid in September of 2024, so a year and a half or so ago, the total contract value was set at $8,700,985. That's the number that got put in all of the interaction with SRF and the project's funding. That's the number that the project contingency of 10% was based upon, which is why it's $870,000 and change in the within the SRF funding stuff. The reason I wanted to point that out is because this never happens, or at least doesn't happen very often lately. And that was that when it went to bid, the result was $493,000 lower than the value as estimated after the final design, and $379,000 under that initial old estimate from back in 2023. Lately, just to be honest with you, most of the time when we estimate values and they go to bid, they come back in and the engineer's the low bidder, so to speak. It's been really hard for us to predict that. So when you get one like this, you want to not brag about it, but you want to at least make mention of it, both internally and to anyone else that's listening or has a reason to listen. So that's why we wanted to mention that. And we wanted to, frame this discussion a little bit within that. So, cut to today, there's 3 contracts, A, B, and C. A is water tower number 1, B is the water plant, C is the replacement of a couple of pressure reducing valves in and around the Highland Hills neighborhood area. There has been, on contract A, only 2 change orders to date. One that had a $0 impact, and it was related to wage determination. The wage determination that happened initially was outdated by the time contracts were being signed, so we had to do an updated one, and that's what triggered that change order. Then there was a small one for $4,000 to add a sampling port per some IDEM input that was given to the project at the time. And then on contract B, which is the one way I would describe it, the busiest contract because of all the things that are going on at the water plant. That's where the field offices are. That's, and there's a lot of screws being turned and nuts and bolts being turned on that one. But there has been, prior to this one, 5 change orders. I'm not going to go through the details of all of them because you guys, we're only the first thing on the agenda tonight. I don't want to keep you guys any later than you're already going to be. But there's been 5 of them. To date, of varying values. The highest one was $41,000. The lowest was $434. That was the wage determination on this one. It just had a small impact. So if you add up all the change orders to date, that means all 3 contracts are 0.94% above their original as-bid value. So prior to today, they're still just below a 1% jump, which on a water system where, as you, I'm sure, are well aware, it's not uncommon to discover new things as we're digging holes and we're figuring things out, or we're trying to add value, to the result that maybe wasn't anticipated early on. So prior to this one, 0.94% has been the aggregate increase on all 3. The work on contract C hasn't begun yet, so that's why there's nothing to talk about there. Skip to the next section. If you approve this change order, that 0.94% will increase to 4.35%, which is still, on most projects comparatively low to what we see, especially when you're talking about a townwide water system, upgrade or upfit or whatever word you want to use, which there is a almost identical project going on with our neighbors over in Bristol right now, and they're seeing, there's similar things, as you might imagine. We have another one up in White Pigeon that's going to be under construction soon, and I'm sure that'll be the same story or a similar story. This contract, or this change order dollar amount is $313,819, and that is a wholesale replacement of the existing chemical feed system on the old tank. There was a freezing issue recently that those guys can speak to at more detail than I can right now off the top of my head. But so it made sense after talking with town operational staff to, if we're going to do this, let's do it quote right and just make it all the same age and brand new as of this project. So this change order includes replacing the existing chemical feed system, which is potassium permanganate and the chlorine injection system for the old detention tank that's still there and it's going to continue to do its job even after this project, and the new detention tank. So replacing that one and adding the new. So that's where you get to the 313. And I could go through the little bullet points of that arrive at the 313 if you want me to. It's in the change order documentation that we brought with us.
I would. Would anybody else?
Well, I mean, it's in there, I've read it, but we can go through it.
Okay. I guess.
Okay. If you change your mind, just let me know. We're still here, so. As far as the usage of the contingency is concerned, you know, if we get, and as we get towards what do you want to call, the last 3 innings of the project or whatever, it's not uncommon for us to be interacting with the project owner, in this case, the town, about, hey, you know, there's this money that's already in the project. Is there something else we can use it for? Because usually the impact, if you return half of it or all of it, is pretty minimal on the math. I mean, you'd have to ask your rate advisors to be sure, but normally it's not really worth the hassle to try to give it back if you can add value to your project. I've seen things like little admin buildings get built, you know, a gravel area be turned into asphalt because, hey, we got towards the end and we had this money left over and we wanted to use it for something that was tangible and beneficial to the project and to the public that uses it. So given that pretty good size amount of contingency on the project that's sitting there, I wouldn't be surprised if there are a few things toward the end of the project that either us or town staff are here talking to you guys about when we get to that point. We're not there yet, so I don't want to jinx anything, but it is certainly not an unheard of notion, at least not in our experience. One thing that engineers, right or wrong, tend to keep an eye on a project like this is where are we at on the project and how does that compare, if we've used any, with the contingency that's been used. And right now, as far as percent complete, contract A, the water tower, is only 25.5% complete. As you can probably tell by driving by, you don't see something going up in the air yet. Contract B is significantly farther along. This project is 71% complete. And we have reason to believe that they're probably going to be at substantial completion before the substantial completion deadline of, I think it's November 17th of this year, correct? So it's, you know, knock on wood, it's moving along quite well in that regard. And so if you put all those percent completes together, our aggregate is 49.5, or just about half done, in other words, just in terms of the dollars, not necessarily physical things, but just in terms of the dollars. And if we approve this change order, that means that we'll have spent 45.5% of that contingency. So one could say we're just a little bit to the good, or it's pretty much the same. We're as far along as we've consumed that contingency. So typically, from our perspective as the project engineer, we would look at that as either good or good enough, would be another term you could say. Let's see. The other thing I wanted to mention, only because it's already been memorialized in project-related documentation, which means it's public information as far as we're concerned, is that on contract A on the tower, we've been told in no uncertain terms that they're very likely going to carry a good amount of their work in past the deadlines that are coming and into the early part of 2027. I couldn't tell you specifically why, other than I can say we believe, based on what they've said, it has to do with available staffing, other projects that they're obligated to, et cetera. This project, all 3 contractors agreed to a $1,000 per day of liquidated damages for not meeting those deadlines, unless it's some circumstance that was clearly beyond their control. So, and again, not wanting to jinx anything, and I've knocked on wood enough, so I'm not going to do it again, but there's a distinct and real possibility that we could be talking about some kind of a 6-figure reduction on contract day by the time they get to those milestones. I think their last communication, if I remember correctly, said something to the effect of having the tower up and substantial completion by early January of next year, but then having some, likely some punch list items and some things like that that will carry into early spring or about 1 calendar year maybe from today, notwithstanding the fact that it does not feel like spring at all. But if you know what I think they said the month of April is what they've actually said out loud. So you could also look at it that way, that there's a good amount of this that might get thrown back into the project in a sense when we get to that point. You don't often see LD applied and talked about so openly and freely, but the language that's in the agreement format that the town utilized for these projects is pretty, in my non-professional legal opinion, is pretty clear. And they've kind of alluded to us that they built a little bit of that into their assumption when they put their bid together, knowing that for whatever reason, that little subsection of the industry, people that specialize in elevated storage, are just spread thin. So if you have anybody that you know that's getting ready to graduate high school or college, maybe a good field of work to look into. But anyway, so that's kind of the highlights of where we're at. And that's why we would recommend that you approve this, but we're also here to answer whatever your questions are, however ticklish or tough they might be.
You stated that this change order involves changing the existing stuff to new,
Replacing it.
replacing it,
Yes, sir.
and then running to the new tank as well.
Yep.
What was your plan to run the chemicals to the new tanks before this change order?
There was not one.
Why?
I wish I could tell you. I couldn't. I don't know.
Did somebody miss it?
I think we missed it.
I have a real hard time with us eating $313,000 when you guys miss something.
Well, with all respect, I don't think you're eating it. That's what I'm trying to explain. That's why contingency is there. It's there to represent the relative unknowns. You always have a defined amount of time and a defined amount of budget with which to get your bid packages put together. And you do everything you can to meet those requirements. And no public works project that I'm familiar with, especially that's using non-local funding programs, goes to bid without that insurance policy. So we look at it as you don't win, or the win-lose decision is whether or not you went over your project's budget, which this doesn't even get close to that.
So
in
right
our
now,
view.
we're at 49.5% completion aggregate,
Yes,
but at 45.5% of contingency
if this
use
is approved, yeah.
after this,
That's correct.
aggregate.
That's correct.
So halfway through the project, we're halfway through the contingency,
Yep, that's fair.
give or take,
Yep.
5%. Okay.
And again, I don't want to knock on wood again, but we're so far into it now. I'm not aware of, at least on contract B, of any, unless some other hole gets dug and something completely brand new shows up. It should be downhill from here.
And there's some confidence to the LD being paid out at some point, because they've already said, we're gonna miss
Yeah.
November.
Well, I know you guys don't know me as well as you know some others on our staff, but I can tell you that this is the first time in my 30 years, I've ever talked about that in a council meeting the way I did today.
Because it's closer to assurance than you've ever had it before.
Yes.
Likely.
when I haven't had somebody come right out 6 months ahead of time or however many and say, yeah, we think we're going to go past and we built some of that into our assumptions. Really? I mean, that's an eyebrow raiser. So,
I saw there's additional profits factored into that as well.
is, for the contractor?
No, well, for this, it said, the one line item said overhead and profits
Oh, yes, yes.
of 28,000. Wasn't there profit already figured into the project?
That's a fair question. We could ask them that.
It just seems like we're tacking on extra additional costs for product or things that were missed or whatever. I think we need to add profit to that too. That wasn't our fault. I mean,
We could,
as much as it's built into the contingency, our job here is to make sure that we don't spend more money than we have to because it's coming out of everybody's pocket that lives around here and the state.
well,
And
if it goes,
if we have to spend that money wisely.
no, that's fair. If it goes as smoothly as we anticipate from this point forward, it's not impossible to think that we could get that back also. If we don't, what I'm getting at is, we have a pretty good-sized contract on this project, and if we don't have somebody sitting there, doing a job, we're not charging you. So there's a pretty good chance we could get some of that back to you.
I've been sitting here for 3 years. I've never seen anybody come back and say, yeah, we don't need this much. You can have it back.
I've seen it before. We've done it before. Maybe not.
I just haven't seen it.
Yeah.
And I agree. I sat on the redevelopment commission for 8 years. Rarely do we ever get somebody to come back and say we're under. Typically, it's change orders and we're over.
That's fair. The only thing I can comment on that is that our budget, our piece of the overall thing is pretty friendly. And we've got one inspector working over here, so, and we can't charge for the same hour twice, so.
We've got a budget code here listed twice. This 1-107.L General Superintendent Labor, it's in here twice.
Is this on the change order documentation?
Yeah,
Okay.
page 1 of 2 of the
So small,
prime contract potential change.
Oh, I got you.
so small tools.
So in the budget code, yeah, so is small tools.
General superintendent labor.
Yeah, twice. I mean, one's 400, one's 8,400. And then small tools is in there twice at 120 and at 354.86. Same code.
It must be the same code and two different topics. Or at least that would be my initial guess, but we can request clarification on that.
That would be helpful.
I would think that would be where we want to be at to maybe get some clarification on those things before we move forward with it.
That's fair?
I mean, knowing the fact that we're, less than halfway through the contingency and we're, as a percentage of aggregate, we're greater ahead on the completion than we are contingency, makes a little more sense.
But there's no guarantee
No.
that later on in the project,
No,
we're going to be in a better favorable position or in a
Right.
better position.
right. And this is work that has not commenced?
That's correct. They're poised and ready to do it.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure. I mean, you can see where we are, right? Like, so
Oh, yeah.
so far, we've had $391,000 worth of change orders.
Yeah, if you added this one in there, yep.
Yeah, so you sit on this council long enough and these gentlemen are correct. What you see is, we need a little more, we need a little more, we need a little more. If somebody missed something, I get it if we dig a hole and we go, shoot,
This
right?
is,
It was underground and we didn't know.
There was a
know,
pipe
yeah.
there you didn't know.
But this is like, we knew we were gonna have to have a chemical feed to the new
yeah,
tank
one of
somewhere.
the previous change orders that we talked, that's on this project is one like that, where they connected to the wrong 16-inch line on the site. They connected to the backflow line and they thought it was the other line,
Right,
so.
Right.
Right, and we understand that,
Yeah.
but just
But like
to not
this
have
is
an
just,
answer of
yeah, this just got
why-
missed.
Yeah.
Like, we didn't engineer it in.
Well, no, that's the answer. I answered. I mean, we missed it. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the answer.
Okay.
So,
Well, some clarification on those codes and what they represent. They're not huge dollars compared to the 313, but they're confusing.
yeah.
Same budget code, twice different amounts. And then that 9-8, 9803 on, construction management fee and overhead and profit. Stick the word profit when you're talking to a council spending tax dollars and
Well, I'll
stuff.
be honest, when I read that too, that struck me as odd. You rarely see that itemized like that. And not just
That's
buried
what happens
into
when
the
you're
other
honest by
things.
mistake.
I'm sorry?
That's what happens when you're honest by mistake,
I suppose.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's
But
not dishonest to not.
No, I get it. No,
Everybody
I get
knows
it.
that's in there somewhere.
Everybody knows there's overhead. I get that. See it in
But-
business, see it in my own business every day. I get it,
Yeah,
but.
but we don't, I mean, we don't invoice like that, you know?
Right.
Hey, here's our cost and, it's just not, you know.
And then of all of these, that plumbing piece is 85% of it? 255,000 of the
Yeah.
313? Should have been a plumber.
Evidently.
Yeah,
I think part of that is due to the fact that they're gonna have to back down the entire trench. If I understand it right, they're gonna have to back the whole trench because there's so much stuff buried out there. They don't know where, like, for sure where everything is.
Yeah, that treatment plant yard is a minefield. And there's probably a lot of time and labor built into that, being that they have to literally, trench from the plant to the tank through all the other utilities that are in the yard, so. Yeah, they have, 6 to 10 weeks actually just for getting, 2-inch conduit from one building to the other just to get through the minefield, so.
And
think
I
they
sh-
learned their lesson the first time when they were putting in, the water main between all the structures out there, so.
And I should point out that this, to us anyway, this isn't a brand-new topic, because this has been an ongoing topic on the project since, I think, August of last year.
August and September, we've been talking
Yeah,
about this change order.
and because it took a few months of some of the town staff working with other vendors to nail down a lot of these details about this system, to make sure that the system going forward is the right one. So, while it never feels good to stand at a podium and say, yeah, we missed it, I think it's also important to point out, since, this is an official meeting, that really the only difference is time. Because had we not missed it, you'd still be spending it. You just been spending it, you would have known
Upfront.
already that you were spending it before today. That's the difference. And it wouldn't be coming out of contingency, it would have been in the bid.
And the reason we didn't bring it up in September when we were going through this and originally found it out, is we were trying to come up with the most economical, the most efficient way to make this change work without it being, a $750,000 overhaul or, having to, I don't know, build some unnecessary infrastructure that wasn't needed to get the job done, so.
And we want your staff to want to be able to use it and like the way it is, because they're the ones that have to touch it every day
right.
for decades after we're done.
Well, I would make a motion that we table this until we get better clarification.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kenneth.
Thanks, Kenneth, appreciate it.
All right, request for payment, JPR invoice number 52682 for water system improvements.
So JPR's invoice 52682 in the amount of $19,897.59 for work done in February on the water system improvement projects is attached. We need to have your approval prior to submitting this to the Indiana Finance Authority.
I'll make a motion that we approve the request for payment for JPR invoice 52682 for the water system improvements done in February for the amount of $19,897.59.
I'll second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
If we could continue really quick on that water treatment. I know that the water department spent days trying to figure out what we can and what we can't do. And that's why it did take a while for it to get to this, to the council meeting.
Yeah.
So,
A big miss.
yeah.
A surprise.
Yeah. But Ron Chubb had a really good operating plant, and we just can't change anything from what he had it going because it works. It's tried and true. We were trying different things to see if it would work differently, and it just doesn't. So Ron built a very good plant. I just want to make sure that everybody understands that too, because he did a great job.
Well, Mary, since you're talking about that, I think most of us have had businesses, and when we make mistakes, if I quote and I go over, I have to honor my quote.
Yeah,
the
it
other
feels like we
last-
should have that kind
Yeah,
of-
last week I was eating at a restaurant. I ordered flour tacos and not corn tacos, and so they had to eat the tacos. So, and Kent, you're a contractor, right?
Yeah, if
Yeah.
I misquote something,
And please understand, I understand what he's saying, that had they not missed it, it would have been in the original quote. So,
but there has to be accountability.
yeah, there just has to be some,
Well,
Yeah.
I think part of the answer to that is in the contingency that it's there and we are under it. So there is some accountability in the amount of contingency used to date. And I totally get, I mean, I'm the same way. It's like when I read it, today, I went, what? I mean, it was just because it was such a large chunk. But understanding where we are in a contingency, at least set it in a different perspective than where we were before,
Yeah,
to me.
probably wouldn't have questioned so much if it wasn't for the idea of finding ways to use the rest of it. I didn't like that comment. We don't find more ways to spend money.
right, and it's just such a
Oh, at the end,
huge
sure,
amount. I mean,
exactly, right, at the end, yeah.
I mean, I guess we
One-
just learned to expect little change orders and some cost overruns and those kinds of things.
And I think I probably need to bring it back to council when we do come under, because I don't announce that. We just push forward because there's no need to bring it back to council. So you always hear, we need more money.
Wouldn't hurt to know.
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
Hey, we were only at 98% of this one. It
That-
would not
that-
hurt to know.
That's what I was sitting here
Yeah.
thinking,
Yeah, well, it'd be good for the public to know,
right.
right? We were,
I agree.
we were at this, and we spent 97.5% of the budget, and we didn't have to spend it all. I think those would be,
I
those
tend to-
would soften the blows of, right?
Right.
So
Right.
let's say, for instance, that we do collect 20 days of LD, or 100 days of LD at $1,000 apiece. Man, it'd be great to say that,
Well,
or
and-
whatever it ends up being.
Right.
And they've been talking that they're not going to be done until, I don't know, January or February, March next year. And that's been in the discussion right from the get-go in the tank project.
Yeah, and I'm saying knowing that, and the public knowing that, would be like, hey, it didn't just overrun. We didn't pay for that overrun. And in fact, got paid for the overrun, because it was part of the contract. It shows that the town had some forethought into whether or not that, we set that date, they agreed to it. It's how they got the contract, right, part of it. They missed it, they paid for it. That went towards something else. If that $100,000 softens that $313,000 quite a bit.
Right.
Right? And if we finish the project at 90% of contingency, that again, too, is good to know.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're at 45.5% right now, 49.5% through it, and we finish at 90% of that contingency, that is good to know. That, number one, we got our money's worth. So JPR did their, engineering services. They built the contingency in. We didn't use it all. Those are great things to know, I think, for the council and for the public. To know that we're safeguarding, those dollars the
Right.
best we can for projects that we have to have.
And I think that it's probably good, like you were saying, bring back every project and we could just do a final change order and here, this project come in, over, under, whatever.
Whatever, right, yep. No, I think
It's
those are
just hard because it feels like all we get is change orders.
I
and
know.
Increases, and so we don't know what the final
Right,
total cost is.
right.
all we get are the pop flies, we never get the singles and home runs, right? So let's don't show us all the outs, let's show us some of the runs as well.
Yeah.
Right, baseball game is boring if all you get are outs. It's like soccer.
Yeah, we have sort of like a wrap-up meeting at the end of each
Yeah,
project, so we
yeah,
can
just to say,
review.
hey, here's how the project finished
Yeah.
out.
I'm just
Which I think
so
we've had
used to
that
go
on
on
a
to
couple-
to
Yeah.
the next thing.
Yeah.
Right, right,
Yeah, right,
right. You're
Anyway.
playing running to the
But I don't
next.
have a problem doing that
Yeah.
at all.
Thank you, Mary.
All right, we're going to jump in, pay application number 3 for Powell Lift Station.
So pay application number 3 was submitted over the weekend. Donahue and Associates reviewed that. They're the ones who actually submitted it, but it's Niblock's pay app. It's in the amount of $600,194.62, and that's for the Powell Lift Station. They've got quite a bit of work done out there. Just trying to get electrical to it now, and with all the outages, it just keeps pushing it back a little bit. But that's kind of the next step. But I didn't want to have to wait 3 weeks to be able to pay this. And so I'm asking for your consideration to include it in the month-end payment.
I'll make a motion that we approve Powell Lift Station app number 3 in the amount of $600,194.62 as presented.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, road closure request for the 2026 pumpkin races.
So in your packet was the request from the Middlebury Then and Now Committee to close West Warren Street for the pumpkin races from 12 p.m. to 4 p.m. on Saturday, October 10th for the annual pumpkin races. So,
I'll make a motion to approve the road closure of West Warren Street for the pumpkin race as presented.
I'll second.
Have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Cleaning services contract with F&M Cleaning Incorporated.
so we solicited 3 separate cleaning services. We received 2 quotes, and F&M Cleaning was the low bidder, and we're requesting your approval for cleaning of Town Hall once a week and cleaning of the police department, deep cleaning once a week, and then a light cleaning.
Have they been properly checked security-wise or background check?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve F&M Cleaning's contract for cleaning the town hall and the police department at $365 per week as presented.
I'll
I'll
second. Oh, sorry.
I'll second.
Would this be pending the,
Yeah, I was gonna say.
Pending the-
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Subject-
pending the approval of
background
background
check.
checks,
Thank you.
security checks.
okay, have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right, department reports. Steve, you have anything to add?
I have nothing to report at this time.
All right, Robert?
Nothing.
Nothing?
No, sir.
Keep 'em busy out there.
Wow.
Nothing to add already, right?
Tom, you have anything for us?
Not really, crazy weather, but.
Yeah, send it back.
I'll add that we have a survey posted on our Facebook and on the park's Facebook regarding the boardwalk out at Riverbend.
Oh, yeah.
That is a follow-up from the grant money that we received and as part of the grant agreement. So if we could have people fill that survey out, we would really appreciate it.
Now, for some reason, I got two emails or two,
The first link didn't work,
okay.
so yeah.
It worked for me, and so I went ahead and did the second one, so.
They have 108 surveys filled out already, so it's pretty good.
Good.
I'll say, Thomas Crew did a great job, whenever it was, we walked the woods. Doing a good job trying to survey that piece of property. Yeah, we were all out there and I was the only one that fell, so that was pretty good. But trying to find that waste boundary and I thought you guys did a great job and some of the stuff that's out there just looks really good. Like I hadn't been back there and I was glad I was out there, so kudos to your crew.
Do we have any word from wastewater, anything? Anybody, notations or anything, or
Anything different than a report, you mean?
No.
just the usual crap?
Bullhead is big.
Oh, really?
Please express congratulations.
Oh, yeah, congratulations.
And condolences.
Yeah.
It's his second, so he already
Oh,
knows.
He knows all the good news.
But it's his first girl.
Oh,
Yeah,
well,
yeah.
then double condolences.
Uh-oh, yikes.
I don't have any girls, so I don't know what that's like, right?
Good luck.
Marshall,
Yeah, I was out at the end of the week, so I didn't get my report to you, but I'll just give it to you here. We got the 2 new Durangos have been delivered to the upfitter. He's trying to push them through as quick as he can. He didn't have any but a few cars down there at the time, so I was happy to see that. Sometimes you go down there, there's 50 or 60 cars in line, so there was only a handful of cars in line, so we should be pretty good. Which is good because both of our 2024 Durangos are getting their engines replaced.
awesome.
Under
There was
warranty?
literally chunks of metal in the oil. I did some research. The 2024s have had an issue. That's their main one. Our other ones so far are good. I'm having them, when we take the oil, get the oil changed, they're going through them in magnets and looking through the oil. Make sure there's no metal in the other ones. But for some reason, there was something in the 2024s and the lifters.
Didn't the state police have a couple dozen?
Theirs
problem?
was with the oil coolers, and we got those all done with recall. That had to do with the oil and the oil getting into the, or it's antifreeze getting into the oil. So that's been corrected. So this is just engines. I asked about the other vehicles. They're having Tahoes are having the same issue with their engines. Fords are having trouble with the transmission. So it's
Pick one.
it's covered by warranty. So
Well, that's good news.
I'm all right. I still lost sleep, but hey, it's covered by warranty.
And we didn't lose any like patrol cars or we were able to cycle
No,
in and out and all that.
I got some extra radios, or radio and radar for the new cars, so that'll save us. My intentions were to strip car 1 and we could transfer the stuff over. Well, we need car 1 because we got 2 cars out.
Yeah.
So that ain't done like I'd like to. But as far as the 21, 22, 23s, so far, so good. So the last thing I have a Carlos Medina. I'd like to get approved for a reserve officer. Carlos will make 3, and we have a pre-basic scheduled for early April. So with the approval, Carlos, we can get these guys going. Hopefully by June, summer festival and stuff, they'll be ready. So, yeah, Carlos Medina is his name for the
At what level?
reserve.
His background.
He's been at the jail before. He worked at ZX Guns.
Which side?
Carlos?
Side of the jail?
Corrections.
On the good side of the bars.
Corrections.
Yeah.
He works for the city of Elkhart now.
Oh, okay.
Maintenance, that type of thing, yeah.
Okay.
Roy did his background check. He's been interviewed twice by myself, and once by Brian and once by Roy, so he's been through it.
I'll make a motion that we approve for hiring Carlos Medina as reserve, as requested by the town marshal.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Any comments or questions? All in favor?
Aye.
All right.
All right, announcements, Middlebury Park Board meeting, March 18th at 10 a.m. here at the Town Hall. Elkhart County Board of Zoning Hearing Officer, March 18th at 9 a.m. at the Public Services Building. Elkhart County Board of Zoning Appeals, March 19th at 9 a.m. at the Public Services Building. Middlebury Redevelopment Commission meeting, March 26th at 7 a.m. here at the Town Hall. Elkhart County Regional Sewer District meeting, April 1st at 5 p.m. at the Public Services Building. Elkhart County Redevelopment Commission meeting at 2 p.m. at the Public Services Building. Middlebury Tree Board meeting, April 2nd at 7 p.m. here at the Town Hall. And next council meeting will be April 6th at 6 p.m. here at the Town Hall. And we are adjourned.
There we go. Now we're